We will have a good idea of where this election is headed and who our next president will be. And already you can see behind me, this is one of 80 polling locations in Chesterfield. The line and the doors are just about to open. Wind speeds are really making it difficult for me to even stand. Take a look at these gusts here. Fires didn't stop there. In fact, you can see the aftermath of what they did here last night. The Christopher Columbus statue still sits in Fountain Lake, and they want the state reopened before Governor Northam's date of June 10th. You can hear how loud it is out here, the honking, the waving of flags. They're all the way lined down Broad Street. GRTC Pulse bus was burned during this protest, and you can see the damage to this bus here this morning. You can see the windows are gone. The pink line here, that is overdose fatalities. And so you notice right around 2013, that is when we start to see these overdose fatalities surpass the other two methods of fatalities. And then right here, just notice how it begins to skyrocket, really increasing. This is the stack of warrants representing the number of people that were in court this morning, and they're all facing charges in connection with demonstrations over the weekend. Not a place that you want to drive your car through or even walk through if you can avoid it. Again, very high water. Even as we were driving down to get to this area, there was low visibility and roads completely saturated. We're standing in right now. All of this slush that's really packed in there, that's what they're working to clear up now on these major roads. Instead of actually being at the school, they will be at home behind computer screens. It's going to look a little bit more like this. There's multiple ways for you to report any side effects you may experience to the CDC. One is through this smartphone-based tool called vSafe. You tell the CDC how you're feeling. Apparent confrontation between people and police officers. We want to take you to some video now where you can see a man being put into handcuffs.
Touching you? Don't touch me.
Confrontation.
Out of his way. Don't touch me. Hey,
on the grounds outside Lilly Monument.
Don't touch me no more.
Quickly spiraling into this. A witness capturing the footage of a man being put into handcuffs as 4 RPD officers huddle around.
Y'all going all around the world.
Richmond police say just after 8, some of their officers were assaulted and several felony arrests were made when police attempted to confront a group who had been camping near the Lee Monument for weeks.
Because we're protesting.
Campers like Vaughn Sante, who spoke with CBS 6, say a swarm of police came through with rifles telling people to move their things.
They started taking things and throwing it on the truck. So people were like, yo, hold on. You said we got 15 minutes.
Things escalated further, according to another camper, when this happened between a law enforcement officer and the camper's wife.
Well, y'all ain't moving fast enough, basically, so he started grabbing, and she was like, oh, no, you told me I could grab my stuff. And when she went to go grab her stuff, he pushed her out the way. We done built a family up here, you know what I'm saying? Like black, white, rich, poor. It's a family been built.
But a nearby resident who didn't want his identity revealed describes quite a different experience living near the campsite, even comparing it to, quote, like living in a war zone. He says he's called police every day, and this was his take on the morning's unrest.
No, I did not see any police brutality. I did not see any police crossing the line this morning. I saw people trying. They are begging. These people are begging for a fight. They want to fight.
Well, Candace, advocates we spoke to tell us while that violence in Atlanta is alarming, it's also a symptom of a bigger problem happening right here in our communities.
I actually wrote it right after I got back from the park that day. I remember being like totally shaken and like just in tears. And the only thing I could think of to kind of be constructive in that moment was to put it in writing.
Justin Lowe still remembers the way he felt when he was confronted in a Churchill Park because of his race.
As I was crossing the street, a gentleman just started yelling at me, specifically me and nobody else in the park, to stay away from him because I could kill everybody in the park, is what he said. As he was yelling at me to keep away from him, he then asked me if I spoke any English.
Lowe documented his experience in a Richmond Times-Dispatch op-ed published in April, but it wouldn't be the last time he and other members of his community would be targeted.
Crime against any community is a crime against us all.
In Atlanta, 8 people are dead after police say a man went on a shooting rampage at 3 Georgia spas. 6 of the 8 victims are Asians.
does claim that it was not racially motivated.
While investigators are still working to determine whether or not that's true, Eric Lynn, Vice President of Finance for the OCA, Asian Pacific American Advocates, says it's a jarring escalation to something they've already been seeing.
For the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a narrative that the immigrant communities are kind of, others in our society.
Lynn says that narrative has only escalated since the pandemic began. A coalition called Stop AAPI Hate works to track incidents of violence and harassment against Asian Americans. In their latest review, they document nearly 3,800 incidents reported to them from across the country since March of 2020, with Virginia sitting just above Georgia as one of the top states for incidents reported. Lowe, who was appointed to Governor Northam's Asian Advisory Board in 2019, believes those numbers are probably much higher.
When you're talking about a community that doesn't want to talk about these issues or has learned to not talk about them, I think you have an even harder time kind of understanding the scope of the problem. And I think now is the time more than ever for all of us to stand united in our fight against racism in all of its forms.
And Governor Northam and Attorney General Mark Herring also issued statements condemning the rise of violence against Asian Americans in our communities today. In the meantime, Lowe is encouraging anyone in these communities who experiences harassment to speak out and report it.
At a Verina home decked in holiday cheer,
they picked out their own stockings.
You'll find stockings hung, presents under the tree.
That's what it is.
And tiny feet rounding every curve in search of sweet treats.
He goes up this staircase, comes down that staircase, he runs down the hallway upstairs.
And he's not alone.
That's LeVay, that's his twin sister. We call him Fat Daddy. It's Fat Daddy and Fat Mama.
In a house full of siblings and cousins, it's easy for 3-year-old LeVere Robinson to be a kid.
We don't limit him to anything that he wants to do.
In fact, if it weren't for the scar on his forehead, you may never guess he almost didn't have this chance.
Everywhere we go, they'd be like, ain't that the miracle baby?
1 year ago to the day, the then 2-year-old was standing in the doorway of his Winston Street home when he was hit in the head with a bullet.
He got shot maybe 5 steps away from me.
His grandmother, Hernietha Atkinson, says she was putting up the Christmas tree when she witnessed it, then rushed him to the hospital.
I thought when I handed my grandbaby over to him, I thought that was the end of it. I won't sit here and say, oh, I knew he was gonna make it. No, I thought a baby at 2 years gets shot in the head and you see all the scar tissue hanging out. I didn't think he was gonna make it.
Yeah, get him.
But LeVere never stopped fighting.
Just when he first started, like, throwing the ball.
Spending Christmas in the hospital, but not alone.
So many people supported, brought toys to the hospital. Like, the room looked like a toy factory. Can you say thank you?
Kelly Wright was one of them.
I lost my daughter, Amaya Moses. Next week will be 5 years to the day.
On the anniversary of her own daughter's death, she brought gifts to the hospital.
My daughter came to me and said, go. He's going to be all right.
This Christmas,
I want you to do something. Come here. Be careful.
LeVere himself
take this gift.
Gets to return the favor.
When you give her a gift and say thank you for coming to see me. Say thank you. Tell her thank you.
Thank you.
Give her a hug.
Give me a hug.
The road to recovery isn't easy.
It went from eating to talking a little bit to walking, and if you look at him now, he's not really using the left arm. We're working on the left arm, and he's walking with a limp. So it's a long recovery.
But LeVere, he's got stamina.
I'm really fighting back tears right now because that's beautiful. Like, he's running around the house. He really is. Like, he's being a kid, and he's going to be able to be a kid.
A kid who gets a second chance. A baby. No stranger to miracles.
It's amazing where we at right now. I mean, all I can say is say God worked in mysterious ways. He did something for a reason, and it just moved us all the way up. This is my inspiration right here.
Working for you, I'm Shannon Lilly.
Right, Dada?
CBS 6 News.
Let's get a look at the roads here in Shannon.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, it is that time of the morning where things are really picking up. And here on 95 North, looks like our camera has frozen, but you don't even need to see the cars moving to see what this is telling you. I mean, there is some major backups here. We're taking a live look at what the scene looks like right now. Still quite a mess. Still no cars moving through. You know what really is going to add to your commute this morning?
What?
It's scraping off that ice. I don't know if you guys had to do it. This was the first time this season I've had to do it, and I was like, no, it is that time of year already. Oh man, and it does add some time, so keep that in mind. All right, this is a live look outside 95 at Maury Street. I want to direct your attention to these barrels over in the right shoulder. Now, there really isn't an accident that's being reported in this area, but there is some paving work that's going on, so that could be causing the delays. This is a look at it on the map. It's stretching for about 2 miles now, so if you are heading into the city, you may want to leave early because this is what you're going to run into in the northbound lanes. Once you get to the downtown expressway, see, it's green, so you're pretty much smooth sailing. We are seeing a little bit of that. Roadways are looking pretty good, Tom, but we are starting out the morning with a road closure here in the west end. This on Forest Avenue in Western Henrico. There's a tree down. Real-time traffic, and notice all of these incidents that we are seeing this early in the morning. So just south of the crash that I just showed you, 95 North, right before Route 10. The tractor trailer there, the flashing blue lights, that's the police on scene. And notice the cones that are over on the right shoulder. Richmond to Petersburg, look at that. It's just going to take you a short 22 minutes. Cars are going about 66 miles per hour.
I have to say, Shannon, if you brought your dog to work, I don't know, I may be a tad scared. Your dog.
she might scare you, Reba. She might.
That's a polar bear.
I would have to say so. You know, I was sad when I was leaving home thinking I can't take Dixie with me, but she came along. Oh, now she's gone. I guess